Hello students, how are you all today? This is Ashar Khan from Shiv Jyoti Educational Group Kota, and today we are going to learn part 2 of our chapter. So students, today we are continuing with our chapter, that is chapter number 14 of Geography, Movements of Ocean Water. So please open your book on page number 116. Let us first summarize the topics that we have covered so far. So in this chapter, students, we learnt about the different movements of ocean water. As the name suggests, we learnt about two different movements earlier in our earlier video. If you have not watched that video, please do so. We learnt about waves, correct? That was one movement, and its characteristics. Okay. This we have already covered in our part 1 of the video. Then we learnt about the second type of movement, that was tides. Okay, we learnt about tides, its different types. Okay, so I hope these two topics are clear to you now. In this chapter, students, we are going to start with the third movement of ocean water, that is ocean currents. Okay. Before we begin, we have one more topic to complete, that is importance of tides. So please open your books on page number 118. Keep your pencil ready in your hand as well, because we will be underlining a lot of important stuff as we always do. So let us start reading. Okay, paragraph importance of tides, page number 118. Since tides are caused by the Earth, Moon, Sun positions which are known accurately, the tides can be predicted well in advance. Since we already know the movement, the position of Sun, Moon and the Earth, we can predict when there will be a high tide and there will be a low tide. We already know the dates on which the perigee, apogee, perihelion and aphelion occurs. So by calculating that, we can find out when will be the most beneficial amount for us. Okay, see. This helps the navigators and fishermen plan their activities. Tidal flows are of great importance in navigation. In navigation, tidal flows are very important. See how so? Because especially harbors near boats and within estuaries having shallow bars at the entrance, which prevent ship and boats from entering into the harbor. Okay, what happens when there is a low tide? The boats cannot enter into the harbor. But when there is a high tide, when the water level rises up, the boats and the ships can enter into the harbor. Okay, so tides are very important in that way as well. Underline this. Tides are also helpful in desilting the sediments and in removing polluted water from river estuaries. Tides are also helpful for removing polluted water. How so? The polluted water gets pulled back and then fresh water comes when there is a low tide. Now, tides are also used to generate electrical power, where in Canada, France, Russia and China, tides are used to generate hydroelectric power, or as they are called, tidal power. There is a line here which says a 3 megawatt tidal power project at Durgadwani in Sundarban of West Bengal is underway. Please note that this project is cancelled by the government now because of its high cost. Okay. Now, finally, we are starting with our topic, that is ocean currents. Let us discuss this. So students, on page 119 come to the topic ocean current, which is the third movement of ocean water. Like waves, ocean currents also move in horizontal way, but tides move in vertical position. Okay, so remember that the ocean currents move in horizontal way. As you can see here, ocean currents are continuous movement of water, as the first line says in your book, that ocean currents are like river flow in ocean. Okay, they are like river which flows in the ocean. So basically what is happening is there is a large water body, oceans and seas. In those ocean and seas, there is a particular river which is flowing in continuous one direction, and that river is called an ocean current. Let us read. They represent a regular volume of water in a definite path and direction. That means their path and their direction and the volume of water is always constant. Ocean currents are influenced by two types of forces, namely primary forces that initiate the movement of water and secondary forces that influence the currents to flow. As I have just told you that the ocean currents have definite path and direction, as well as the drift of current is also the same. Okay. Now currents near the surface may attain speed over 5 knots. I have already told you what a knot is. Okay. It is the speed by which we record the movement of water. Now, the ocean currents which are found at the depth are generally slower, and the ocean currents which are found at the surface are generally higher in speed. See, they are influenced by two types of forces, that is primary forces and secondary forces. Let us learn about them in our next paragraph. Now, the primary forces that influence the currents are, one by one, we are going to learn about the primary forces which influence the ocean currents and its movement. Okay, so the first thing is heating by solar energy. Okay. In our earlier chapter, students, we have already learned that our earth receives insolation from the sun, correct? And the insolation is received in an uneven manner on the entire surface. That means near the equator, the insolation will be high, there will be a lot of heat will be generated here. But as we go farther away from the equator, the amount of insolation will decrease. How it affects the ocean current? See now. What happens is, when this particular area gets warm, the water also gets warm. Okay, now warm water will rise up towards the polar areas, and the cold water of the polar area will move towards the equatorial region, and this will create a continuous cycle of water, and they will start moving equatorial to polar and polar to equatorial. So this is how temperature or heating from the solar energy affects our ocean currents. Our next factor which influences the movement of ocean current is the wind. Okay, how so? Wind drags the surface water due to the force of friction. Now, as we have seen that the water is moving from equatorial to polar region and polar to equatorial region. Similarly, the wind also moves in the same manner that we have already discussed in chapter number 9. What happens is, around the equatorial region there will be a lot of heat. Because of that, the air will get high in temperature and will rise up. Okay, the air temperature will rise up and the air will move upwards, creating a low pressure area around this surface of the earth. Now, the exact opposite of this will be happening around the polar region. What will happen? The air around these areas will get very cold, okay, and it will come down because dense air always falls to the surface of the earth. Okay, now what will happen? The air will move from the high pressure area to low pressure area, and because of that it will also influence the surface of the water, surface of the ocean as well, to flow towards equatorial region. Okay, next point is gravity. Now, gravity tends to pull the water down. Gravity also helps in pulling the water down. How so? Let us see. See now, gravity is more at poles and lesser at equator. Okay, so what will happen? Gravity is also pulling the water towards the poles. Okay, but because the water will go upwards, there will be a cavity of water which will be left here, and so the water from this area will rush towards the down area, okay, to fill up the gap. And this is why the continuous cycle of ocean currents will take place throughout the year. After gravity, the next movement we have is of the Coriolis force. What is Coriolis force? I'll tell you first. Okay. Now, we know that our earth is rotating continuously on its axis. Because of that, the particles which are present on the surface of the earth, that is solid, liquid and gas, are also continuously traveling with it. Correct? Now, this force exerts some pressure on the liquid and gaseous particles. Solid particles are not easy to move, but it exerts pressure on the liquid and gaseous particles. What happens because of the Coriolis forces in the northern hemisphere? Okay, it will deflect the objects towards the right, and in the southern hemisphere the Coriolis force will deflect the objects toward the left. See here, it is written. The Coriolis force intervenes and causes the water to move to the right in the northern hemisphere and to the left in the southern hemisphere. Okay, moving on. Now, a particular term is given here, a gyre. Come to the paragraph, last two lines. The large accumulations of water and the flow around them are called gyres. Basically, what is a gyre? I'll show you with this line. Now, what happens is when two currents collide with each other, basically imagine there is a warm ocean current coming from this side and a cold ocean current coming from this side. When these two ocean currents will collide with one another, they will start revolving around each other, forming these circular patterns which are called gyres. Okay, I hope you understood. Now, differences. Now, let us study the types of ocean currents. Now, ocean currents are categorized into two types, that is on the basis of depth and on the basis of temperature. On the basis of depth, the ocean currents are of two types, that is surface ocean currents and deep water ocean currents. And on the basis of temperature, that is warm ocean currents and cold ocean currents. Let us study about these one by one. Now, surface current constitute 10% of all the water in the ocean as it is written here. Now, these water are the upper 400 meter of the ocean. What happens is that the surface current will occur only in the upper 400 meter of the ocean depth, okay, and these constitute 10% of all the water in the ocean. Next we have is deep water current. As the name suggests, deep water currents will be flowing into the downward areas of the ocean. It makes up the other 90% of the ocean water, and deep water sink into the deep ocean basins at high latitudes, found where the temperatures are cold enough to cause the density to increase. What happens here basically is that the cold water will pull back downwards because it is denser than the warm water, and because of this deep water currents will take place. Now comes the cold current. It is very simple to understand what are cold currents. Cold currents bring cold water into warm areas, okay. They flow from the higher latitudes to lower latitudes, as I will just show you in a minute on the globe, okay. Now they are found on the west coast of the continents in low and middle latitude in both the hemisphere. Underline this here, okay. On page number 119, types of ocean current, second paragraph. Underline this. Cold currents bring cold warm into warm water areas. These currents are usually found on the west coast of the continent in the low and middle latitudes, true in both hemispheres, and on the east coast in the higher latitudes in the northern hemisphere. Now let us see this on the map. See now, these are the cold currents. Now as you can see, the cold currents are coming from which direction? They are coming from the polar direction, both from the North Pole and the South Pole. And in which direction they are moving? They are moving towards the equatorial direction, as you can see. These here are some of the major ocean currents such as the Oyashi Ocean Current, Labrador and Venezuela. Now, what is happening is they are bringing cold water from above to the downward region. So they are bringing cold water into warm water region, okay. They are found on the western side of the continents. You can see they are found on the western side of the continents, okay. Now moving on to warm currents. Now warm currents will be the exact opposite of cold currents. Why? Because they bring warm water into cold areas. Cold currents क्या कर रहे थे? They were bringing cold water into warm areas. Warm currents are bringing warm water into cold areas. Means ये वो currents हैं जो equator से poles की तरफ जाएंगे. Okay. Now they flow from equator to the higher latitudes, found on the eastern coast of the continent. Cold current हमें western coast पे मिल रहे थे, but warm currents हमें east coast पे मिलेंगे अब. Okay. Let us see. Now these are the warm currents. As you can see, they are flowing from the equator to the above region areas, okay. That is the Kuroshio Ocean Current, North Atlantic Drift, Alaskan Current and Brazilian Current. These are some of the important warm currents that we have. Now what is happening here is they are moving from the equatorial areas towards the polar region in both directions, as you can see, from equatorial to downward direction, okay. Now, our next paragraph is major ocean currents. Major ocean currents are greatly influenced by the stresses exerted by the prevailing winds and Coriolis force. The major currents that we have, as you can see a diagram here on the board, you can find the same diagram on page number 120 in your book as well, which shows the major warm and cold ocean currents of the world. Now what is happening here is they are mainly exerted by the prevailing winds and Coriolis force. The oceanic circulation pattern roughly corresponds to the Earth's atmospheric circular pattern. Very important line here. I have just told you that similar process is happening both on water and in air. This part of the Earth, the equatorial region, is getting warm. The air is rising up and moving towards the polar areas, correct? Similarly, water around this area is also getting heated up and is moving towards the polar region. And the cold air and water, both from the polar areas, they are moving towards the equatorial areas, okay? I hope you understood this. The air circulation over the oceans in the middle latitude is mainly anticyclonic, more pronounced in the southern hemisphere than in the northern hemisphere. The oceanic circulation pattern also corresponds with the same. As I have just told you, कि जो air circulation pattern है, ocean circulation pattern भी उसका same है. Now at higher latitudes where the wind flow is mostly cyclonic, the ocean circulation flow follow this pattern. In regions of pronounced monsoonal flow, the monsoon winds influence the current movement. Underline this from here. Due to the Coriolis force, the warm currents from low altitudes low latitudes tend to move to the right in the northern hemisphere and to their left in the southern hemisphere. We have already discussed this कि जो Coriolis force है, in northern hemisphere it will push the objects towards the right and in the southern hemisphere it will push the objects towards the left. The oceanic circulation transports heat from one latitude belt to another in a manner similar to heat transported by the general circulation of the atmosphere. Similarly, how the heat is getting distributed around the earth, the ocean currents are also responsible for affecting the temperature of the places. Similarly, let us take the example of Gulf Stream, which is a warm ocean current which is flowing near the coast of America and Canada. What do you think the temperature of the air will be as it flows from this area to this area? Okay, the air which will flow over the warm ocean currents and it reaches the land, the temperature of their air will also be higher, correct? Similarly, if we take the example of Venezuelan ocean current, which is a cold ocean current, if the air is moving from this area towards the land area, the temperature of the wind will be lower and it will be cold. So, ocean currents also affect the temperature of any place from which they are flowing close from. The cold waters of the Arctic and the Antarctic Circle move toward warmer water in tropical and equatorial region, while the warm waters of the lower latitudes move polwards. Underline this line as well. Same चीज बोला जा रहा है यहाँ पे भी कि जो cold water है Arctic और Antarctic का, they are moving toward the equatorial region, while the equatorial water, they are moving towards the polar region. Okay. Now, our next topic is the effects of ocean currents. We learnt about the effects of tides. Now let us see what kind of effect ocean currents have on our life. Ocean currents have a number of direct and indirect influences on human activities. West coast of the continent in tropical and subtropical latitudes, except close to the equator, are bordered by cooled water. As you can see, the western coast of all the continents are bordered by cold waters. That means the wind which will be flowing from this direction, okay, will be cold. Their average temperatures are relatively low with a narrow diurnal and annual ranges. There is a fog, but generally the areas are arid. West coast of the continents in the middle and higher latitudes are bordered by warm waters which cause a distinct marine climate. As I have told you in our earlier videos as well, children, where warm and cold ocean currents meet, places where the warm and cold ocean currents are meeting, such as area near here Europe, near China and around near Africa. Those will be the major fishing grounds and you will find a heavy amount of fog there, okay. They are characterized by cool summers and relatively mild winters with a narrow annual range of temperature. Warm currents flow parallel to the east coast of the continent in tropical and subtropical latitudes. And warm currents, as you can see, they are flowing on the eastern side of the continents, okay, bringing warm air from the sea to the land. This results in warm and rainy climates. These areas lie in the western margins of the subtropical anticyclone. The mixing of warm and cold ocean currents helps to replenish the oxygen and favor the growth of planktons. Underline this, where the warm and cold ocean currents meet, it favors the growth of planktons. What are planktons? Planktons are small organisms which the fish eat, okay, which is the primary food for fish population. The best fishing grounds of the world exist mainly in these mixing zones, okay, where the warm and cold ocean currents are meeting. Those will be the major fishing ground. So students, this was it for our chapter, that is chapter number 14, Movements of Ocean Water. Please watch both the videos carefully and do the copy work in your copy. Thank you so much.